Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. We are talking SVU Season 6, Episode 12, Identity. Sorry, I'm just going to watch
really
Taylor.
hard.
Yeah, try to figure out math. I'm
Not
Yael
gonna happen.
Tygiel. I'm joined as always by the incredible Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello. I'm so
And
excited to talk about this.
Felicia Michelle is here.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Felicia's going to struggle through today's episode because she can't take me serious with these headphones.
I love them so much. I'm sorry, but like the little tear does keep coming down over here.
Yeah.
It just looks so cute. I love it.
Thanks. I love them too. They were a birthday gift. But before we jump into this episode, let me remind everyone, if you are in a situation where you need help, please reach out to the RAINN Hotline. Their number is 1-800-656-4673, 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, I believe you know what 4673 spells.
I sure do. I was gonna try to do like the numbers, but then I was like, it didn't really work out well the first time, so I'm gonna not do it this time. But it does spell hope. I can tell you guys that much.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It spells hope.
I love
Yes, it does.
You could have tried to do the numbers. Like, oh my god, don't do the numbers. I'm like, you thought about
I need to train. Maybe I'll train and try to like do that as a party trick next week for everyone.
Okay. I wish you luck. For those who are listening to our audio-only version, you're missing out, but thank you for listening. We appreciate you. Let's jump into this. Oh, no, wait, sorry. No, I gotta start. I gotta warn you. Sometimes SVU takes a dark turn, and when that happens, we find light and we find a way to get through it. So prepare for that. Consider this your content warning, because I have thoughts on this episode. Again, Season 6, Episode 12, Identity. The quick cap is when a murdered gang member is linked to a sexual assault, Benson and Stabler find neither the alleged victim nor the alleged killer to be who they think. It's a good quick cap. What did we think of this episode? Because this is one of my favorites. Felicia, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, this episode definitely sticks out the entire series, really, because it's like their twists and turns. I thought about Taylor when I was watching. I was like, these are the twists and turns that my girl Taylor is talking about. Oh, that's a lot of tease. And I was there for it. And in fact, I hadn't seen the episode I had watched the shows, but I hadn't seen it in kind of a while because it's, season 6, like a couple seasons ahead now. And I almost kind of forgot some things. So I was like, oh, like, I don't know. I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was interesting because this is one of those like ones where it's like a little smorgasbord and you get a little bit of everything. We got a little bit of like sexual identity. We got a little molestation. We got a little murder. We got a little accidental murder, manslaughter. So I enjoyed the episode. Just had a little bit of everything.
Yeah, Taylor, what did you think?
100%. So glad you mentioned the twists and turns because that's exactly what I was gonna say. And this one, it's one that I was like, I had to like pause on Hulu and be like, is this the right episode? Because it starts out so differently than it finishes. And I was like, this doesn't feel correct. But they bring it there somehow eventually. And the way that they do it is just insane. But yeah, I love this one. I love Dr. Hendricks. I'm so glad we had her in this episode. I think she's a really great addition. But yeah, I agree with Felicia. It's a little bit of everything just kind of sprinkled into one, but it somehow works really well to be like this delicious soup of an episode.
Wow, what great descriptions. I totally
Thank
agree.
you.
I absolutely love this episode. It's one of my favorites because I find these twins so amusing. I also find the story like wild, and it is ripped from the headlines, which we will talk about. Daryl in the chat says, I find this episode more disturbing than anything else. It's one that, although I saw it 15 years ago, I still remember those twins. Absolutely. I think a lot about Logan and Lindsay. I think a lot about
he goes by Luke now,
but I think a lot about Logan and Lindsay. Because Lindsay the lesbian makes me laugh.
Lindsay the lesbian is an amazing line. I did write that down. I was like, yes.
um, and everything about Lindsay I find so funny. And the whole thing about the gang initiation at the beginning is so weird and wild. And when they find out that they're doing like identity fraud, that's what this gang is doing. And then that like the girl is like, let's go meet Rico.
I didn't even realize that this was a double play on identity, because I always obviously just think of the twins, like their identity. But you're right, there's that identity fraud thing that also ties into this title, which is incredible. They really had a theme and they stuck with it. It's amazing.
Honestly, the like older episodes that have the one-word title were consistently like double entendres and innuendos and really beautiful parallels. And that's not a knock on current season titles. Some of them are better than others.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Great capture release.
Yeah, let's not even.
Like I said, some are better than others.
The only one we'll recognize is Sin in the Clouds.
Okay.
Anyway, I think The Longest Journey Home.
Oh, yeah.
Also a good title.
Yeah.
She Paints with a Vengeance. Anyway.
She Paints with Vengeance is a classic. That's true. That is true.
These are the only titles I like remember because they're so long.
Yeah.
It's Chinatown Counselor. I forgot about that one.
Counselor, it's Chinatown.
Anyway, back to identity. We do start with the murder victim, Luis Vega. His gang is called the Stone Cold Assassins.
Damn right it is.
But they work in identity fraud.
Stone Cold Assassins, baby.
They're assassinating your credit score.
I was like, oh, like gonna be like, I mean, you're killing people's credit score. That's, yeah, you're right, Yael. But or watching it, I mean, obviously I know what's ahead because I've seen it before, but like just trying to watch it again with like fresh eyes, I'm just like, that didn't really, I thought y'all be like, bang, bang, like shoot them up. Like, but that wasn't any of that. It was like, we're going to open up 12 credit cards in your name. You're never getting that house. Ever.
Stone cold. Stone cold.
It was pain for me, though. It was like, this is like, oh, he has this necklace on. This is his girlfriend's initials. What man is buying himself some nice, like maybe there is somebody who would do that. Maybe like there's an anomaly. What man really is wearing like a chain and it's like, oh, these are my girlfriend's initials, like who's not in high school?
I agreed. I thought that was such a weird assumption. I was like, why is that what we're jumping to? Like his girlfriends? Like, what? Like, who's gonna? I thought that was also very strange.
I agree with you both. I think what's wild is knowing what this gang does, right? Which is identity fraud. Their initiation is rape. Like, shouldn't the initiation be a math test?
Initiation is rolling dice.
Maybe that was just like a division of their gang. Maybe their gang does other things that, you know, maybe this is like a very prominent gang that has multiple streams of income and this is one of them. And that's what they do. I mean, I guess maybe it's like the loyalty of it, you know, because when people are, you know, assaulted, it's about power. It's about putting power over someone. So, I mean, essentially, really, you could probably try to do that and get someone to do whatever you want them to do, whether that's be murderous or be mischievous, whatever it is that you want them to do. It was just like interesting. It was like kind of weird. I don't know. How it gets over, like how they get it to that place when you see the beginning of the episode, like how are we going to get to this point? Like how are we getting there? Like where's our roadmap at? Because A to B, like I don't really see it. Like
we go from A to B to C to D to E. Like we go so many places.
I feel like it was like from like W to like Y. Then we're like, oh, it's gonna go back to A, B, and C. It's gonna make sense right at the end. Don't worry. Like.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you said a math test, did you guys have to do like rocket math in elementary school where you had to do like 40 problems in like a minute?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I never cared.
I had to do that, and now I'm just picturing all these people doing rocket math.
I also imagine they had to do a typing test since they were like, she was like, I'm just playing computer games. They were like, that's a spreadsheet.
I want that spin-off so bad. You have no idea. Like, that is incredible.
You want to watch these gang initiations that require a math test and
Yes.
a typing test?
Yes, I think that'd be so funny.
Anyway, so this story then takes us to Sister Peg. Oh, the beloved Sister Peg at St. Anne's. I love her
Rest
so
in
much.
peace.
Honestly, I remember that she was in this episode and then I could not remember why, because she like specifically works with sex workers. And so I was like, I don't recall anyone being a sex worker. And I was right. There is none.
No.
Me
They're trying to say that Katie, the character of Katie, was messing with Luis, or he messed with her like in a physical way. So maybe that was how. But I was like, I thought that she exclusively, like, that's what, like you said, yeah, like worked with victims of sex crimes. So I was like, you know, anything to make the connection, because wherever you had to build this bridge, I get it. You might have a little temp bridge to get us over here, and that was.
The temp bridge is definitely that she worked with, like, she had a shelter. And so therefore she allowed Katie to stay at her shelter. The fact that Katie was not a sex worker is just what it is. But that gets us to Betty, who is helping with the identity theft, which then gets us to graffiti. It took so long.
I love that Betty is like, she's gonna get her money one way or another. I love how Ellie and Olivia are like, okay, fine, you're like giving this to him for $50. We'll give you 62. I was like, that's right, get your bag, Betty. Like, you deserve it.
She was like 60. Okay. She's like, oh, he pays a whole bunch of homeless people to do that around here, actually. And I was like, that's so genius, but it's so diabolical at the same time to like,
yeah.
And then it made me sick. Like, oh well, he had all those 50s in his wallet, so he was handing out 50s to these homeless people.
I don't mean to minimize it, but 50s, like, that's good money.
I was gonna say, but I don't know how much you have to bring, because it looked like she had a lot of stuff.
There were a lot of bags. It looked like a lot of papers and whatnot in there. I wonder if it's like 50 per bag or like per cart. I don't know, but Betty was a hustler, so I'm convinced that she worked out and negotiated a fair price for herself, because she seemed like, oh, okay, here you go. 62, problem.
I totally agree. And when Munch is like, and you all make fun of me for shredding my junk mail. No, girl, this is how I learned that this is how they do it. I was like, well, I keep all my bills now, even after I pay them, I just keep them.
Yeah. It's better safe than sorry. Yeah, I don't blame you.
Felicia?
Well, I live in the South now. A lot of people burn their trash. I never burned my trash because I don't think people want me to be around open flames and start fires. But I know sometimes there's like shredding events and stuff that happen at different places where they'll shred everybody's stuff. You can bring it to get shredded and stuff. But I just keep my stuff too, because I'm just hyper nervous. Although, I mean, if you want to steal my identity, good luck. Good luck.
I always
approve you for a Nissan Sentra.
I always say, like, stealing my identity is just going to screw you over. Like, all right, you owe money now.
Go ahead. I went to the most expensive public university in America, so have at it. Would you like being Felicia? I
used to always feel like if my wallet got stolen, I was like, well, they're screwed. They're going to go try to buy something, and it's going to be declined.
Yeah.
Also, it's easy to freeze your card, so it's like literally nothing. And I thought about that scene too, where, like, you know, they're like, oh, I have $24, I have $38 or whatever. Who has cash? I was like, that literally does not work nowadays. I'm like, you have Venmo? Like, does this almost have a Venmo? Cash App? Apple Pay?
Honestly, if this episode was made now, she would have Venmo 100%.
You think so?
Yes. And without a doubt, she would have PayPal or Venmo or something.
Yeah. That's right.
All right, so we get to this graffiti gang whose name is B22B. And I wrote it down. It's Born to Be Bad, which is BTBB, but it's B2 and 2Bs. What a stupid, no offense to like this prep school that decided to have a graffiti gang. Dumb name.
Writing club.
Dumb action. Like, you're at a prep school. Like, why is that the name you picked? Like, y'all could have picked something, I don't know, a little more poetic, I think. But instead of being Born to Be Bad, like, you're not bad. Like, you probably have like a nanny. There's probably people who work in your home. Like, people who actually work in your home. Not like they work and they live in your home. They work at your house. Like, imagine someone's job is to come to your house to work. Like, but you bad.
Not just that. Look, I never went to a prep school or any sort of school like this, but I'm pretty sure that if Lindsay wanted to be in that club and they said it was for boys only, Lindsay's parents would have made a stink at that school. That's what I know about Lindsay and her family.
Not like the private prep school parents in Law and Order. Like, they're always super entitled, super demanding, super narcissistic, like, so it's abnormal that they were so, but I guess it also makes sense for them not to make a big deal because Lindsay was not really born female, genetically female. So they maybe wouldn't want to do that.
I guess. I just feel like they would want her to be happy and do whatever. Like, with the amount of hovering these parents did with her, it just seems like they would do something. Oh, Daryl says, I don't think it was an official club. You know what? I disagree. I don't care.
Oh no. Psycho is going crazy though.
Psych and Psycho, right?
Psycho and Psyche.
Incredible.
She wanted to be Psyche. Oh, Morris, hello.
Hi, Morris. Do you have any deep thoughts for us?
For anyone listening, you are missing a cat.
I learned that Law and Order is the best show ever, and that's all my mom watches. Okay, bye now. Goodbye.
Thanks, Morris.
Oh, Morris
good
is
insight.
so smart. He's so
good
smart.
Insight.
All right, so we've met the twins, Logan and Lindsay. Lindsay seems to be super aggressive. And when she was younger, she had bladder surgery issues. She was on pills. And when they asked her parents why, because she's self-conscious about her weight, so we snuck her diet pills. There's like a whole lot of issues there.
That's a whole other story that we could have explored, because I was like, what?
She's not even remotely overweight. Like, like, and in any societal wise, health wise, like, this looks like a very average sized child. So why would you? That's disgusting.
Honestly, I feel like the mother did, this is where Yael's gonna say something terrible. The mother did a lot of stuff to this girl to give her the full girl experience, right? Make her feel terrible about the way she looks. Make her feel like she's too fat no matter what. Girl got sexually assaulted and no one believed her. Welcome to the girl experience.
Well, as Dr. Blair said, they were like, she is miserable. And he said, what 14-year-old girl is it? And I was like, listen, you don't make a lot of points, but you did make a point there, because you're correct in that, at least.
Oh, and don't forget to put in that ever so tense relationship between mother and daughter. And you got it, girl. Dang. I mean, the parents strike me odd. They just strike me odd. I mean, obviously, given the situation.
Yeah, so let's talk about how we got to this. Two perfectly healthy boys were born. They had a freak accident during the circumcision where one of the babies was severely burned and would never fully function. Felicia, you okay?
I'm sorry. I'm like making a really terrible face right now, and I'm scrunching up. I medical stuff. It just honestly, it makes me queasy. Like, it's just,
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to say about it. That was what happened. And they decided, this is the line I quoted, the mother said, what else could we do? A lot.
I
lot
can
else.
think of many things off the top of my head. And that's not even being a doctor, just being a person.
Maybe that speaks to their societal position, right? So I can only imagine what it's like to live in high society because I'm from New Jersey. So, and maybe in their societal position, they just felt the need to like have appearances be so. And if someone knows our child has this condition or this problem, they're not perfect. We're not the perfect family. We're not elite, even though we're supposed to be elite. You know, it's messed up. A lot of people get caught up in what other people think that they're supposed to be, as opposed to just what and who they actually are. And so I could see why she really thought I had no other choice. How else was I to cover this up? How else was I to make this as if it was no mistake? Which is still crazy to do. But.
So I get that, except that they were so successful at hiding Lindsay's whatever secrets, right? Because she had these bladder issues or whatever. And so she had surgery and had scarring. And they were able to like accept and cover up that. You know what they could have done? You know what else could we have do? Raise the most confident boy ever, that it wouldn't matter. Because
yeah,
honestly, the dad was like, what, people make fun of him in the locker room. And now here's the thing. The only time I was in the locker room was PE because I didn't do any sports. Shock. We never took our underwear off. Why would our underwear go off?
See, I thought about that too. If you're a guy, weigh in, because like I also don't get that. I guess you can see like through the underwear, but like, are you inspecting other people's packages? Also, I'm thinking, like, listen, I know there's going to be like it's hard medically to like fix this, I guess, but they are filthy rich. Like you think they could give him the best of the best and like make it so like he can pass by, and like
also,
no one, you know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't trust a doctor who says the word, it is easier to make a hole than build a pole.
Yeah, no.
Not the doctor you trust.
No. They're so rich. I feel like they could have figured this out. Oh, you know?
Really trusted medical science, and that the fact that it will continue to advance as we progress and he lives, so maybe there could be something for him. There's a lot of things that maybe in the beginning of even our lives, there were things that they couldn't fix with people, and people passed away, or then now not that, and that's in one lifetime, not even a whole lifetime. So it's like kind of like you didn't want to just trust that maybe this could happen. That's an anomaly. I mean, they did give the date, which was funny, of their birth, because it's literally the day after my birthday. So like, wait a minute.
The same year?
I don't remember. I don't know how old I am.
Okay, because I just felt very old. Thank you.
No, but I was just like maybe it's just at the time they just couldn't see that. But it's a no for me. This is what it is. We're a different generation than like our parents and their parents. We're more like individualists. Like what makes you happy, makes you feel whole, makes you feel complete. Like, and we'll work with that. And other generations so much aren't that. So I could totally accept like, oh, well, I mean, I probably would fight whoever was handling the machine. Like, I mean, sue, I don't know what else you could do, but change my son to be my daughter when I didn't have a daughter.
I just feel like they were like, this is the easiest solution. No, there are such easier solutions. And I think like making him the most confident guy ever is the easiest solution, where like everything else about him, he's so confident about that this is just one little thing he's insecure about. And then when his dad was talking about like him falling in love, you know what his partner is going to do? Not care. Because they're in love. And if you're a real good father, again, I'm going to say something people are going to get mad. Look, a penis is not, it's not the end all be all. Teach him how to do all sorts of other things.
Pretty.
That's true.
The doctor in this too was just like really deplorable. He Blair, right? Dr. Blair.
Dr. Blair
was like the perfect experiment, nature versus nurture. You're sexually void. And I'm like, this is interesting because a lot of these older episodes, a lot of things really resonate and come back around to where we are right now. And that's literally the conversation about like, no, you're not void of anything. It's not how someone raised you to be, which makes you that. Because even when the nanny was describing how Lindsay would take off the dresses and run all around like, I don't want to wear this, like, because that's not who Luke or Lindsay was or is.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a fictional character like this. I don't know.
Yeah, this one's like hard too because it's not like that character chose their like or like figured it out on their own. Like it's very complicated. Like this is a very complicated story, and finding like the verbiage to talk about it is like challenging because of that, I think.
Well, I think some things to keep in mind, right, is that this is not necessarily a trans story. This is someone who was born biologically male, forced to live as a female, and then realized that they were male. So
right.
This is a cisgendered male story.
Yeah.
With just a female portion of life. Yeah. But also, like, I think what's really interesting is that this is so old. This episode's from 2005, and the terminology they use is not as correct. Like Stabler being like, you can't do this to someone's sexual identity. And Dr. Blair, luckily, like understood the difference between sexual identity and gender expression and gender identity, and like all of these terms that we now know. Although it is very on brand for Stabler to not know the words or care.
Yeah.
At least back then.
Yeah.
He gets better. He learns.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for character development and shows, like to actually see somebody evolving. And even though if you have disdain for maybe older comments, you can always appreciate somebody better. For example, like, if maybe you said something before, you said some insensitive things in the past, you don't have to say them again. I had a real reflective week this week about of things that I said it on air, like this talking before, and like in the hopes of like being funny and maybe my joke not really translating, and thinking about that and the space that everyone needs to get to try to get better. There's another show that just ended that I kind of watched, which is The Bachelor, and talking about that whole thing. So that's been like my week of reckoning of like everybody needs to get better. We can all get better.
Absolutely.
Group, you can get better.
Absolutely. I'm sure you can find me saying terrible things on previous SVU after shows. A few come to mind.
Don't look none of this stuff up, y'all. It's not important now. It's who we are today that matters.
I agree. So yeah, Dr. Blair, in the end, Logan wants to charge him for molesting them, for showing them porn, for putting them into positions, and for making them simulate sex because they had to learn and differentiate gender roles, which is that's not how that works. That's not how it works.
This is like one of the most unethical doctors, therapists, whatever, like of all time. And I have a conspiracy that he wanted this to happen all along. He paid off the person who was doing it so he could have his little experiment. That's my theory. He had this in mind all along.
Oh, wow.
It's funny because I had a similar theory that like he had been paying attention to twin births and was just waiting for like
something to happen.
The perfect one.
Like he's too interested for this to be a coincidence. Like,
right.
Something's happening there. Right. I don't trust him at all. I feel like he has been doing this for a long time.
I think it's interesting that he was ultimately, like, they were accusing him of molestation, but Dr. Hendricks is the one who is now up for review. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not the one who was touching the kids and making them touch on each other and trying to tell one that he's a woman. Like, that wasn't me. I was trying to free these kids of their burden, because you could even see the aggression just in both of them. They just have like they were just angry. And if you've taken at least one psychology course and ever in life, you'll know that anger is a secondary emotion, and it's usually preceded by deep pain or sadness. And both of these kids were super angry. They were talking about Lindsay being the aggressor towards her brother. So obviously there's a lot of problems with these kids, and her heart was in a place from the beginning of the episode. She was advocating for them from like as soon as Logan walked into that room. She was like, oh no, y'all can't do this. Like, no.
Yeah. Justice for Dr. Hendricks. And also this reminded me a little of that episode. The specifics are fuzzy, but when Dr. Huang, like, I think had the guy who was addicted to heroin or addicted to something and did that like treatment that wasn't like officially approved by the FDA or whatever. And he like risked it because he knew it was best for like the patient and the person who was suffering. And I love that we kind of see that here with Dr. Hendricks, where she's like, I'm not supposed to like tell these kids this, but it's going to be way worse in the long run if I don't. So she risked it all and did it. And I really appreciate when they go a little rogue to do the right thing.
Yeah. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said I'm here for it. And also, too, when that episode, I thought about it, too. That was another psychologist as well in that episode that he was kind of going head to head with, kind of how like Blair and Hendricks went head to head this episode. Like, you're being you're not ethical. That in that episode, I can't remember what the title was. Yael probably knows it. Yael, do you know the title?
I don't know the title, but I know the rest of the details of the episode.
It's such a good episode. Oh, I need to watch that one again.
Drugs to keep them codependent on
him.
And Wong gave that medicine so that he could just easily not
it's the episode with guest star James Frey. Hold on, James Frey, SVU. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you exactly what episode it is.
Dr. Wong in New York one time, and I was like literally in a Whole Foods, and I was like, I cannot say hello to him. I was like, I followed him around the produce section just a bit. I'm just gonna tell the story while Yael's looking this up.
I found it.
I kind of found him around the produce section. I just didn't have the balls, and I just like walked out. I didn't even buy anything from the store. I didn't even need to go into Whole Foods. I had just stalked him like a block over, and I went in.
I love that for you.
And I was doing that, and I had no courage, and I just walked away. But he looks exactly like he just looks exact. Some people don't look exactly the same from when they're on screen. When you see them in person, I'm sure Yael and Taylor can testify to that. But he looked exactly the same. What episode?
So the episode is called Users. And it is from 2009. That is season 11, episode 7.
Great season. Love 11. First one I ever bought on DVD, so it will always be special to me.
So cute. Zach in the chat says, justice for Dr. Hendricks, indeed. I will say this. I forgot how fun her arc is. I really do love that little, I think it was 3 episodes, arc that she's this former cop who became a therapist. And in the end of this episode, she said, when they're like, you did the right thing, she's like, for a cop, I disagree. For this patient, you did the right thing. And I think that, like, yes, it wasn't your place and they were being treated by someone else. I don't think she's going to be, like, I don't think there's going to be any discipline because she didn't do anything wrong.
I agree.
Parts of it, to play into her decision-making. This man being just disgusting and really, really a creep. He's a creep fest, and all the things that he did and why her actions did that. So, I mean, yeah, justice.
Well, he did. So.
I know.
I
didn't. But.
Yeah. So he dies, and it's the perfect murder. And I want to believe it inspired another episode, but we'll talk about that. Like the idea of this murder inspired another episode. Because we have more twin episodes, but we'll talk about that in just a bit. For now, do we have some best lines?
Oh, we sure do. But I'll let you guys go first because I have like 5.
Oh, okay. I only have 1.
Okay.
So it's in the very beginning when the Luis's body like falls, and they're like, oh, he had a wad of 50s, about 10,000. Yeah, not enough to cushion the fall. And I was like, like literally still on the car. Like, he's still on the car. Like, that made me laugh at the episode. I totally forgot about that because you think just twins at the very end, obviously the end of the episode. I forgot about this little thing. I thought that was funny.
No, that's so funny, especially because there's a part later when Finn is up there and he's like, and then they ruin that nice car.
Totaled out a damn fine Beamer, because that was one of the lines. Totaled out a damn fine Beamer.
He cares
well
about the car.
Well, okay, going off of that, yeah, because this is also like the gang stuff had some of the best lines, I think. One part that I thought was funny was Finn was like referred to him as a bug we scraped off the windshield. And then Munch goes, "A little respect for the dead, please." And I think that's the most hypocritical thing he's ever said, because I remember very clearly when there was a man on fire, he called him a crispy critter. So I think maybe you should have no room to talk if you're calling people on fire crispy critters. That was a very funny exchange. I love the two girl gang members at the arcade/pizza place, and they like all of their lines were so funny, but I love Popo in the house. And then finally, not a specific quote, but just whenever the twins were speaking in the made-up language, I thought was incredible. And I love how agitated Olivia and Elliot were. They were like, yo, no, English only, please. Like, what is happening? I thought that was just like an amazing moment.
I agree. I really want to give a shout out to Riley McLendon, who played Logan and Lindsay /Luke, because a pretty amazing performance for both of these characters, and just so well done. It needs to be called out and appreciated. Also, Dr. Blair, played by Peter Firth, no relation to Colin Firth.
Interesting.
And their father, the twins' father, Mr. Stanton, was played by John Bolger, who is a repeat offender. Yeah.
Interesting.
And of course, Sister Peg.
We love her.
Just some credits we want to shout out. This episode was, in fact, as angry as I get that this was a decision someone made, this was ripped from the headline. So let me tell you about this wild story. This is the story of David Reimer, Reimer, born Bruce Peter Reimer, again, Reimer. So he was Canadian and was born male, reassigned as female, raised as a girl following medical advice, and intervention after his penis was severely injured during a botched circumcision at infancy. And this is about also a psychologist named John Money, who oversaw the case and reported the reassignment as successful and as evidence that gender identity is primarily learned. So because of this, because of Dr. Money,
J Money,
this became something that doctors believed. This was something that was widely accepted because of this specific case. And the academic sexologist Milton Diamond later reported that Reimer's realization that he was not a girl crystallized between the ages of 9 and 11, and he transitioned to living as a female as 15. Well known in medical circles for years anonymously as the John Joan case, Reimer later went public with this story to help discourage similar medical practices. And sadly, he died by suicide in 2004. He killed himself, which is so heartbreaking. Sorry. He was born as an identical twin with a brother. He was named Bruce, with his twin brother Brian. And they, decided at the age of 6 months, after concerns were raised about how both of the boys urinated, there was an issue. They decided to have a circumcision at 7 months because of whatever this issue was. And it didn't go as planned. And so it was burned beyond repair. And they decided to do this instead. You can read more about everything, but one of the things that I think is the most interesting that I believe came out of this is the way that it affects people who are born intersex. So for those who don't know, intersex are people born with ambiguous genitalia, or in a way that we used to refer to people as hermaphrodites. That is not the term anymore. It is people who might have both genitals or ambiguous genitals. And so because of this case, a lot of times the doctors will make a decision. So babies are born and a doctor will make a decision. And if you want to learn more about intersex people and their activism towards ending this thing, because this is literally still how it's done. Unless something has changed in the past 20 years, which I don't think it has, a baby is born and doctors literally make a decision, make a surgical decision on a child, and then try to raise that child how they decide that child should be, which ends with a lot of reassignment surgeries later in life, and a lot of stories of people, struggling in ways that they didn't have to.
Yeah, that's messed up, and it just like shows how obsessed our society is with like the gender binary, which is like not a thing. Like there's not just two genders, and I feel like if we start accepting that, less things like this will happen.
Yeah, I also think like this seems wild to me that they do this to babies, but like again, the fear is that a child will grow up confused, or a child will be bullied.
Get confused why they don't feel like what you tell them that they are. Like they're gonna not feel like what you're saying. Like it's
right.
When people talk about their experiences in transitioning, it's literally almost the same exact thought. Is I didn't feel like myself in the way I was presenting to the rest of the world. Like imagine literally walking around in your own body and not feeling like yourself. And then this is done from the time you're born. It's not even just like, okay, I was born and like I know this. It's like I was born and there was a choice for me to be the opposite gender, and you just picked one for me, and this one doesn't work that you picked, or it's just that's too much like God to me. It's like a lot too much like making those types of decisions on people's lives. And I could, even if it is your biological child, if it is your child that you brought into this world, they still have to live in it independently of you and on their own terms and in their own space of happiness. I'm just not trying to be in charge of someone's misery. I'm my kids miserable enough. I need to do that to make them miserable.
Yeah.
Ways that bring misery to their life as their mother, not that. I don't. When they lay on the couch, it's like when they go to get therapy, they complain about me. That's not something that they're gonna say. But that's not it.
I agree. Yeah, so if you want to look into that story again, you can look up David Reimer, Reimer, and check that out. What was that?
Canada.
Yes, he's Canadian.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but we've learned a lot. There are some documentaries you can check out if you're interested in hearing more. On that note, though, I have some show news to share. As we know, April 1st is the big crossover with organized crime. Also, it has been confirmed this week in the news that showrunner Warren Leight said they shot plenty of scenes, or at least multiple scenes, for multiple crossover episodes with Stabler. So we should be seeing him in addition to this crossover episode that is coming up on the 1st, where we have SVU lead into the other show. He will be popping up on our show more this season. And I just wanted to share that excitement with you all.
Oh my gosh, it's getting so close.
Are you excited?
Are we excited?
Yeah, like genuinely, like, are you excited? Like him, like knowing that he's gonna pop up other parts of, like,
Oh yeah. Like here's the thing. I'm not even like, I mean, I like Elliot as a character. He's not like my favorite character, but the dynamic of him and Benson is so interesting, and there's so much like crazy history there that I'm just so excited to see like what's gonna happen, because I genuinely have no clue. Like we can speculate, but it's gonna be crazy. And I heard that the organized crime show is like serialized, so it's not gonna just be like a procedural. So I'm really excited to see how it like
How
ties
dare.
together. I know, but it's gonna be interesting. Like, and the showrunner of that like did the L Word, so like I'm very interested in organized crime too, and like what the vibe of that's gonna be, because there's a lot of interesting elements that seems to be at play. So I'm really excited to see the vibes. You know, the vibes.
We'll see.
I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously
Yeah.
and I think I'll get excited about the additional scenes and all that kind of stuff after we see what's ahead, you know, because I don't want to believe that they could not have the same chemistry just because they had such great chemistry as partners throughout this, like the beginning of this series is really like, I mean, what makes it probably so impactful for so many people. But what if it's not the same? You know what I
I
mean?
think it will be.
No,
They've
I
been
know
in
what you
touch
mean.
for that many years that like
That's the thing. I want answers. I want to understand. Like, that's what I'm really excited about. Story wise, I'm excited for Stabler to explain like how he could do this to Olivia. You know what I mean? Like,
go be tough.
I'm so stoked. Daryl in the chat says, woo woo, one New York crossover. Yeah, take that, one Chicago. We were here first. I'm all protective as though I'm not grown in California. Whatever,
Don't
New
never
York.
say one Chicago to me again.
All right, let's head into our weekly poll.
Yes. So last week we talked about Raw, and we talked about our favorite Dana Lewis episodes, which you cannot go wrong because Dana Lewis is that bitch. Coming in last place, we have season 8, episode 1, Informed, which is so upsetting that I came in last because I love that episode with the environmental group. In third place, we have Secrets Exhumed. That's the one where she goes to jail. It should not be in first or second, so I'm glad that's in third. But I can't believe it being Informed. Whatever, I'm over it, I guess. In second place, we have Raw, which we talked about last week. That's the one with the most annoying Nazi group or whatever they called them, particular obnoxious group or whatever.
Yeah.
And then in first place, we have season 12, episode 8, Penetration. That's 45.8% of the vote. I'm wondering if that's because Calvin asks if they're lesbians. That's why I would vote for that one personally, because that's a little tidbit, you know, that happens there. But that was the result of last week. This week, we're asking you guys your favorite twin episodes, and there are quite a few good ones, you guys. We have Parasites, which is season 2, episode 19. Yael, you said you would describe that one for us?
Yes. Okay. So Parasites is such a good one. It was, again, one of my first because I started watching in season 2. But it's the one where a girl's body is found like under the flower beds of this home. And it turns out that she is a twin sister who lives not far. And then it turns out that it's the sister who we meet. She's actually the dead one. And that the girl who's buried is the one who's living now with her husband because they were brought in, like not trafficked. They were like mail order brides, and then they got kind of trafficked. It's such a good one. And the parasites, the double meaning there is that these immigrants, they are referred to as parasites, but also we learn about orchids, which are kind of parasitic. It's a great episode. Go rewatch it.
I need to rewatch. Yeah, now I'm like want to rewatch it. So we have that one. Unfortunately, it's in last place right now. 0% of the vote. But maybe
because you didn't hear my description.
True, so true. We have Identity, which we just talked about. That's currently in third place. Currently in first place, which I'm not surprised by, we have Bombshell. That's Twincest. That's Rose McGowan. That episode is crazy. I love that episode. And then coming in at second place at the moment, we have Double Strands, which is season 13, episode 4. That's the one with T.R. Knight, who plays like the guy who they think it's him, but it might be his brother from like the other state. So that's
because he didn't know that he had a twin brother, and his twin brother knew that he had the better life, and he got the tattoo, and his mom was like, I gave him up.
Yeah, that's also a great one. So every twin episode is like pretty spot on, honestly. And if you guys can think of more, drop them in the chat or drop them in the comments, which I'll tell you where to find the poll in a little bit. But there are some twins that are just like great that aren't like featured like parts of the episode, but are wonderful, I'm sure. Like Jane, how do you say her name?
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Jane Krasinski from 30 Rock.
Yeah, she plays a twin too, but I didn't include the one because it wasn't like as prominent as a part of the episode, I don't think.
Yeah, she's the nurse who's killing all the people because her brother's a doctor. And she's sad about it.
Sure.
That was it. It was not a great one.
But she's wonderful, so maybe for her.
Oh man, now I really want to watch all these twin ones.
Yeah.
So good. All right, we'll tell you where to find that in just a bit. Let's talk about what did we learn? I'll start. It is easier to dig a hole than build a pole.
No, not this.
It's the stupidest saying I've ever heard.
It truly is.
Also, not to get graphic, but like in terms of the way gender reassignment surgery is done now, like is not easier one way or the other.
Yeah. I learned beyond what you told me about the real story, because I knew it was based on a true story, but I didn't know the details. So I learned the details of that. I also learned if I need a quick $50, I'm just going to steal some identities for the Stone Cold Assassins.
All right.
Make some quick cash.
All right, Felicia.
What did I learn? I don't know. I think maybe not learned, but I think it just really drove a point home that some people are just really misinformed when it comes to the matter of gender and of people having the self autonomy to pick their gender and their own sexuality and how they want to express and live as themselves. Like for me, I think when we all talk amongst each other, we take for granted that we all understand these things and those are just understood, but there are still like people out there in 2005 and in 2021 that need to learn that lesson too. So I guess just realize that there's still more work to do.
You always have like such a good one. And like me and Yael are just like messing around, and then Felicia like drops like true knowledge on us.
What an asshole.
I'm sorry.
You're making us look bad. I'm kind of tired of it.
No, but I think you're absolutely right. I think that people really do have a lot to learn. I mean, definitely in 2005, but also in 2021, like people still struggle with pronouns.
I'm people. You ever like I'm like, oh my God, I misgendered somebody, and like all day long I'd be like sweating by the armpits, like, oh my God, I cannot believe I did that to them. I'm so sorry. And like, what do you even say now to apologize for that? But I guess nobody asked me for my advice, but if I had to give any advice, I would say to just be a real person and say, I really don't know what to say. I said the wrong thing, and I know I don't want to hurt you or offend you. Please tell me the right thing to say, because I don't want to make you uncomfortable anymore.
Yeah. I think that's some solid advice. I will also say, just if we're giving out some advice here, the best thing that you can do, specifically if you are like us, we are cisgendered women, is to say our pronouns up front, because it makes it more comfortable for other people. And we need to normalize it. We need to start bringing up our pronouns. So maybe starting next week, our labels, our names will change on the show, and we'll say our pronouns as well.
I love that. We should definitely do that. That's a good idea.
We can do that. That's an easy fix.
That's definitely.
Yeah. Look at us. We're all learning together.
Love it.
All right. That's perfect. So let me tell everybody what episode we're doing next week. I was like, which one did we do? Got it. I got it. Just for Taylor's reaction. Next week, we will be discussing locum. For those who are going, the hell is locum? That would be the Joan Cusack, Bailey Madison episode.
I know the whole thing by heart, but I can't wait to watch it again. Like, I can take you through what happens, but like, I can't wait to watch it again.
Sarah shared with us in the chat what she learned. Oh no, that's not it. This one. I learned some new graffiti tags.
Sarah just goes out and tags things with Psycho. Like, watch out, guys.
Yep. But yes, Daryl liked our idea of putting in our pronouns. Yeah. If you're listening to our audio only version, let us know what you learned this episode. I think that Sicko was a much better name than Psycho, but that's fine.
He goes by Sick. Like, he doesn't, but you tried.
Because Sicky is better.
Psyche.
Psyche's not better either. Anyway,
No.
so next week we're talking about Locum. You have all week to catch up on rewatching it. But until then, Taylor, where can everyone find you and the poll?
Yes, you guys can find me and the poll on Twitter at alphaba_, and you can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
All right. And Felicia, where are you at these days?
I'm on Instagram. You know, that's my favorite platform. At It's Felicia Michelle. And then I'm on Twitter at It's Felicia on Air.
Thank you. I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. I will also be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League on a very special episode of Super Lady Hero Hour.
Yael is so excited. She can't wait.
I'm like, is there volume? Like, what's going on? I just, her voice just is like, it's like,
Yep.
you down.
Yael
Yep.
is so hyped.
We're going to be doing that on Monday. Super Lady Hero Hour is regularly on Wednesdays. Also, this evening I'm going to be playing Truth or Dare, I guess, on the Whirl Girls.
Nice.
I don't actually know what's happening, and I'm terrified, and I'm
Definitely gonna have to make sure.
You should be, honestly. It's a great panel, though.
I think it'll be fun.
I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen, and I'm
Good
so
luck.
excited. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.